welcome everyone, especially thank you, Vindaji, for doing these classes and taking the time to speak with us. I think we're at an especially beautiful spot. Just so that everyone remembers, we had the 13th class on the Taitareeya. It was on the 20th of December, so you can go back and listen to that replay if you'd like to be right with us. And we'll have the usual format. We'll have a class here with Bindaji, and then there'll be a question and answer period directly afterwards. And that the replays are also available on YouTube under Advaita Retold, or also you can look it up under the handle of Advaitic Talks, but the channel is now Advaita Retold. And thank you also to Prakash for helping here. We do what we can to support these classes and people being able to spend time with Bindaji, but of course it doesn't take nearly the effort and preparation nor depth of understanding that you have, Bindaji, and we're very grateful for that. Before we start today, I wonder if you could just, Bindaji, perhaps indicate to people, now that we're this far into this Upanishad and we're in such a important stage, if people haven't been with us through the whole thing, what would be the best aspects of it to review, or the best things to be aware of, so that we can really take advantage of the class, if you wouldn't mind. And I turn it over to Prakash if you want to add anything to that, and then to Bindaji to move forward. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.
I have nothing to add, Amishi, so I'll pass it on to Binduji.
Okay, thank you. Bindaji.
Namaste, Mishya Prakash, and welcome all, and a very happy new year to all of you. Let us start the new year with the real message of Taitareeya Upanishad, which starts, but as a recollection of what has gone through in the Taitareeya Upanishad. I will just summarize that once I do my invocation. So to the invocation, Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Samvrataya Kartrabhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Sadashivasamarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmatacharya Padyantam Vande Guruvarambaram Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtiveda Vipakine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Shri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Hari Om Shanti Mantram Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sahavityam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ ब्रह्मविदाप्नोति परम् तदेषाभ्युक्ता सत्यम् ज्ञानमनन्तम् ब्रह्म यो वेद निहितम् गुहायाम् परमे व्योमन् सोऽश्नुते सर्वान् कामान् सः ब्रह्मणा विपश्चितेति तस्माद्वा ये तस्मादात्मन आकाशः सम्भूतः आकाशाद् वायुः वायोरग्निः अग्निरापः अद्यः पृथिवी पृथिव्या औषधयः ओषधेभ्योऽन्नम् अन्नात् पुरुषः स वा एष पुरुषोन्नरसमयः Tasyedameva shiraha ayam dakshinah pakshaha ayam uttarah pakshaha ayam atma idam puchcham pratishta tadapyesha shloko bhavati iti pratama anuvak. So, in the Taitareeya Upanishad, second chapter, we started with the famous statement, Brahmavid apnoti param, means Brahmavid, one who knows Brahman, apnoti param means he reaches the Supreme or he pervades the Supreme. Tadesha Bhukta, how it is to be understood is that Satyam Jnanam Anandam Brahma. Now the word Brahma, in English Brahman, or I will keep using the word Brahma again and again because that is how Sanskrit it is to be uttered. So Satyam, Jnanam and Anantam. These are the three adjectives given to Brahma. And one who knows Brahma with these three adjectives is called the Brahmavid. And such a Brahmavid attains the Paramam or the Supreme, which is Brahman itself. Now we found that the word Brahma itself is having a meaning of its own. Brahatvad Brahma, the one which is the largest or the biggest or the vastness, the ultimate in vastness or expansion or something like that. So what happens is that when we listen to any word, the word has got its own meaning. Pada padartha. That is what is the padam and padartha. Padartha means the meaning of the word or the meaning which it stands for. For example, if I say cow, cow is a word which is also indicating a padartha, means an object by the word cow, which is known to all of us, the animal cow. Same way, when we hear the word Brahma, is also a well-known subject, well-known name, well-known word, which indicates the vastness or the all-expansiveness of something. But what is it exactly is not known because the word Brahma is not a transactional word in the ordinary world. So what happens is that there are chances that we may take it like any other mundane stuff because we have got science, maths, physics, chemistry, or the subjects have got hundreds and millions of words and objects which are being indicated by those words. So this word Atma or Brahman also becomes one similar to that. So the opponent is asking Shankaracharya that if that is the word Satyadinam Anurtadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvad, means Anurtadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvad, Satyam means the one which doesn't change or one which is eternal. Which doesn't change means it is eternal in its own nature. So, Satya Dharma Nivritti Paratvad. Anurtadi Dharma means opposite of Satyam is Anurtam. So, Anurtadi Dharma Nivritti Paratvad. By removing the abhava of potency to become a changeable thing, Visheshasya cha Brahmanaha Utpaladivat Aprasiddhatvad, like, like a lotus, which is now being given an adjective like a blue lotus, a big lotus, one which has got scent. So like that, Sugandhi, Neela, Mahat, Utpalam. These are the three words which are being used for to describe the lotus. Aprasiddhatvad. There is no prasiddhi for the word Brahma, or even for that matter the word Satyam. Why? Because in our transactional world, we have never seen anything which is Satyam. That which is permanent and unchanging. Even though the word sky, we consider it as eternal and unchanging, but as per what knowledge we have gathered from the Puranas and everything, this sky also gets merged in the pralaya or in the great dissolution, leaving nothing existing in this world, and the life springs back again with the sky coming into existence, in which everything else comes into existence. So there also we know that even though ultimately that we know that sky is the longest which we can imagine having eternity, but even that is considered as not the one ultimately Satyam, because that dharma of Akasha is also that in the time of dissolution, this Akasha also get dissolved in the pralaya or the great dissolution, and nothing is left. So aprasiddhatvad, like what he is giving an example, Mrigadrishnambasisnada kapushpas kritashekara esha vandasuto ayati sasashangur dhanodara. This I explained it in my earlier class. These are all words which appear to be true, but have no real entity which is by the word indicating. For example, one who has taken bath in the mirage, you can never see anyone who has taken a bath in the mirage water. Nor can you say the Kapushpa Krita Shekara, one who is adorning the lotus of the sky. There is nothing called it is a lotus of the sky or a flower from the sky. And Vandyasuda, the son of a barren woman, is never a possibility. So these are all words with a shunyartha tataiva prapta. So all of them are in the even same way. The Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam all are also shunyartha, because they by themselves have no meaning of anything which is the pada padartha way. Like, it can indicate a object which is Satyam, no Jnanam which is an object. Or we know Jnanam, how we'll explain that in the following section. Same way Anantam also. So all of them are, these are all Shunyartham. Shunyartham means words without any object to identify along with it. The word has no meaning by that. So Acharya says that, no, na lakshanartatvat, because they are not words without any meaning, because they are the word which is indicative or of something which is beyond the words. Visheshanatve api satyadinam lakshanartha pradanyam iti avochama. Even though they are adjectives, visheshanatve api satyadinam, the word satyam, jnanam and anantam, lakshanartha pradanyam iti avochama. They have more relevance as a lakshanartha or an indicative meaning, is what we are saying. Shunya hi lakshya anarthakam lakshanavachanam. If it is shunya, then this would have been a futile part on the Upanishad to talk something which is futile. And that is not possible, because every word of the Shastra is having a meaningful purpose. And what is that? We will know it in the thing. Ata lakshanartatvam anyamahe na shunyartamidi. Therefore, we are saying that apparently there may be shunyam or without any object to describe. Satyam means there is no object which is Satyam. Jnanam means we do not know. We know Jnanam only which is changing in nature. Because every Jnanam is related to with an object. and as the object says that knowledge of cow has gone and replaced with knowledge of a tree. Knowledge of tree gets replaced with the knowledge of an animal or my relative or my friend or my food or anything like that. So, like that, if you look at that, they are, Jnanam is also having one which is not Nityam, which is part of the Satyam. So, when you say that you should take all the three together, Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, there is no word, there is no Padartha or no object which can be indicated by these three words together. Satyadi arthatve tu, no, Visheshna arthatve api cha satyadinam swartha parityaga eva. By abandoning their independent meaning in the event of an adjectiveness, that when it is living and becoming an indicative meaning for Brahma, then only it becomes meaningful. Therefore, what it says that Brahma Shabdobi Swartena Arthavaneva. This word Brahma has got a meaning of its own. Brihatvad Brahma. We know that the one that is the maximum, having the extension, expansiveness, or all inclusiveness in it. So there is an Arthavan Shabda, that Brahma Shabda hai. Tatra Ananda Shabda. There is a particular thing about Ananda Shabda. Anandavatva Pratisheda Dwarena Visheshana. It becomes an adjective only when it is Pratisheda Dwarena, by negating Andavatvam. Andavatvam means which has got a end. That means changing. So the jnanam which we know in our transactional world is all having andavatvam. Andavatvam means that knowledge has an ending. When I know a flower, I do not know anything else. When I know a cow, the knowledge of flower has ended and the knowledge of cow has come. So there is a andavatvam or ending for the knowledge, what we know in the transactional world. So, tasya pradisheda dwarena, by negating the possibility of changing nature of knowledge from flower to cow or to tree, that change is negated, pradisheda dwarena, then it becomes a visheshanam, what the word anantam. That which doesn't change, when it says anandam, means that which doesn't change. Now, when we explained earlier, we said that any sort of bifurcation or any sort of, splitting of the knowledge or the satyam or jnanam cannot be accepted in the word anandam. Here, another aspect is also being added by Acharya, saying that it is by negating the andavatvam, means negating the possibility of that knowledge which has an ending. When it is going from one object to another object, that knowledge is ending. But here it is becoming an adjective only when it is that knowledge which doesn't have a change or which doesn't change along with the object changing. Satya jnana tu shabda tu swartha samarpaneneva visheshna bhavata. Both satyam and jnanam, by their own independent meaning. Satyam means not anurtam. Jnanam means chit, knowledge in purity, not the one which is changing along with the objects which is changing. So, swartha samarpanena eva visheshnata bhavata. Now, when it is being told that these words have got their own adjectiveness as well as they have got an indicativeness, then we are now coming to know a word called Brahman. But what happens is that our tendency of the mind is to understand any word which gets replaced with anything when we know something else. So what happens is that the Brahma Shabda becomes another word like cow or tree or a flower or anything else. Because when we are thinking about, say, the flower or the tree, we are not remembering about Brahman, or we are not having the knowledge of Brahman. So Brahman becomes another object, which is part of the mundane life or the transactional world. So here, if we are taking Advaita or the Shastra study, all the texts which is in the Dvaita, Advaita, Vishishtadvaita or anything, all of them will become similar because they have got Antavatvam, means because they will keep changing. But why should Shruti, an Upanishad, waste its time in defining Brahman as Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, and the word which doesn't have an object which it can be valid both by adjective and the lakshyartha or the intended meaning. Therefore, the Shruti has a purpose in using the definitive adjectives with both adjectiveness has independent meaning to negate the opposite of them. But at the same time, when it's doing an intended meaning, it is taking you from the mundane objects to an object which is not experienced or not known to us till now. That is where the Shruti is now pointing us to this thing. But the problem here is that we are not familiar with such a situation or such a knowledge where the integrated one is not in our transaction. At the same time, it is an object which we need to know. We have never been able to do that, and it is with the mind only we can know it. To ward off an event or to prohibit the ordinary mind from getting into such a situation where it confuses with a mundane object. Why? Because the Shabda, Brahma Shabda has got a meaning of its own. So that is the potency that we all will take that as the meaning, even though Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam has to be applied simultaneously, yet objectification of Atma or Brahman is the highest possibility that can happen. That is the place where the Shruti is taking special effort in the same Anuvaka, first Anuvaka, by saying that Tasmadva etasmad atmana. Now this word Tasmad, etasmad, both have the same meaning. And that is being repeated. Tasmad and etasmad has really, by repeating it, it has not done any good because punarukti or repetition is unwarranted in the Shastras. But when the Shastra wants to hammer upon a important aspect, it repeats the words so that the attention of the student is caught up. That what is this? Why is he repeating? Suddenly, whatever he was imagining as Satyam, Jnana and Anandam as Brahma as an object, which he may even think in his wildest of the imagination, that will get broken up. That individual will not be able to immediately conceptualize Brahman as an object or as a knowledge. In the yesterday's chat or in the room, we had Tara asking this same question. I know Brahman, but How does it differ from what the Shastra is saying? This is exactly what I told him. This word, etasmat, atmanaha, the word atmanaha is used. Iti brahmani eva atma shabda prayogat vedituhu atma eva brahma. By knowing Brahman as an object or anything else is not going to help anyone, neither the teacher nor the student or anyone who is hearing it. So the Upanishad purposefully drops the addressing of Brahman as Brahma in the scripture itself and replaces it the word Atmanaha in place of Brahman. That is, Brahmani means in Brahman, Atma Shabda Prayogat. In the place of Brahman, the word Atma Shabda, when it is being used, Vedituhu Atma Eva Brahma. Now the listener will have to think about why does the Upanishad say that I am Brahma now? Atmanaha. That word, when it is used, we all know what is self. We have got a conceptualized idea that I am so and so by name, and I am so and so by body, mind, intellect, complex, or whatever may be the adjectives which we think we are having with the decoration of degrees and titles, engineer, doctor, etc., etc. All of them we know. So Brahma will become one more adjectives to be added, that Dr. Brahma so and so, or engineer Brahma so and so will be the way in which we will think about it. But when it is being said that Atmana Vedituhu Atma Eva Brahma is the purpose for the Upanishad, now you have got yourself as so and so with the name and adjectives, etc. But the moment you say that it says, the Upanishad says that this Atma, what you think yourself, is Brahma, which is Satyam and Jnanam and Anandam. But my own experience about myself is that neither I am Satyam, because I have changed from million times from my childhood till now, and every day I am changing, so I am not Satyam. Jnanam, I am knowing as Jnanam, with all the objects with which I am knowing I am the knower of so and so, I am knower of flower, I am knower of my body, I am knower of my food, I am knower of my parents, I am knower of my relatives, I am knower of the world, I know science, I know chemistry. All those things are my jnanam. But here is a jnanam which is anantam also, where andavatvam, that knowledge should not have an ending. But all the knowledge which I have, till now what I said is that from I am the knower of so and so, all the knowledges are having objects and they keep changing. Therefore they are not anantam. So then why is the Upanishad taking all the effort saying that Atma in place of Brahma? In the same Upanishad, Taitareeya Upanishad, it comes, say, Etam anandamayam atmanam upasangramati. Etam, in this manner, Anandamayam Atmanam. So here the Anandamayam Atmanam is used. The Atma, the self is Anandamaya. Is means it is full of bliss. Anandamayam means full of bliss. But I do not know myself as Anandamayam. I know myself as I am having happiness, momentary happiness when something of my liking comes. But most of the time I am unhappy because I am not able to achieve some things. I am not able to enjoy things. I have got diabetes, or I got VP, or I have got sickness, I have got that, or I am not wealthy, or I am having hunger, or I am having so many things where we are not Anandamayam at all. We are not in a completeness of bliss. But here says that etam, in this manner, Anandamayam Atmanam Upasankramati. You are entering. Upasankramati means you are entering or pervading that Atma which is blissful in nature. Blissful means complete. Anandamayam Atmanam Upasankramati. Idicha Atmada Darshayati. That is the way in which the Atma is being now described by this Upanishad. How can I ever know that Atma is Anandamaya? I have no Brahma or Atma knowledge which is Anandamaya in my experience. From childhood till I remember all this very moment, all my experiences are transient, some giving temporary happiness, but most of them giving unhappiness. And as my age catches, the body is becoming subjected to changes and sickness and decay, death, everything is waiting for me. So where is the blissfulness of myself, the Atmanam? What we are talking about is that Swarupa. My nature is blissful nature. I have never enjoyed it, even if it is my deep sleep, but that is also temporary in nature. I am not permanently in deep sleep so that I can say I am blissful in nature. I am immediately thrown into waking and dream. Therefore, all that also is not in the happiness. So what way is this? Only when we know our true nature by the Avrita Chakshu Amrutatvamichan, that Kathopanishad mantra, or that only when the Upanishad words are to be taken as indicating of our true self, not what we think, etam ititam upasate, not what you understand as what I am. That way, if you think is, then there is nothing which can be adjectified with the adjective Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam, nor by the intended meanings of Satyam, Jnanam and Anandam. So when the Upanishad is taking the word Brahma replaced with Atma, any amount of external tendency of the knower, of the one listener, to look for an object of that nature in the world outside is being curtailed, and the Upanishad is asking you to look inward. Therefore, etasmat atmana, when that mantra is being told, akasha sambodha, the sky emanates from that. Now, when that statement is being made by the Upanishad, we know Brahman as Brahman, Sagunam, Parameshwara, or Vishnu, Ishira, Maheshwara, all those things we know. But when it is Atmanaha, that is my Swarupa, I am not able to understand an Atma which is blissful in nature, which is Satyam in nature, which is Jnanam in nature, which is Anandam in nature. So because of all these things, now the listener will have to think, why did the Upanishad talk about the word Atmana? That stunning of the mind happens when you are the one which is Tasmad Etasmad Atmana Akasha Sambhudaha. What is being told is from Brahma, the creation is taking place, will now has to be thought how the creation is taking place from my own self also. I am creating my own world is what I heard it, but I never understood what I should be looking for. So Akasha means, what is Akasha? The space. Avakasha Datra. That space is that quality which gives anything and everything to appear in itself. So from Brahma, Akasha Sambhuda, we will again start thinking that, oh, there is something called Brahma up above in the sky, and that Father in the heaven, or the God in the heaven, or the the creator in the heaven is now creating the space in which, including the world, the cosmos, the planet, galaxies, the earth, and everything in the earth, including all the objects are being created. I am not included. I am thinking from the world, from the creation, from the Brahman only. But when Upanishad says that etasmat atmana, therefore, from the Swarupa of Atma, of myself, and Swarupa of Brahma, are they one and the same? Is that what the Upanishad is wanting me to know? Tat praveshascha, to hammer upon the idea, the same Upanishad, in this Taitareeya Upanishad, it says that tat trishtva tadeva anupravishyat. Having created the space, every object having placed in the space, tadeva anupravishyat. This Atma, this self, now enters each and every atom of creation. That means that is the Atma which I am also experienced as myself, is now I should be knowing as the same Atma which is entering in every atom of this creation. After having created the space, everything inside the space, and inside every atom or every creation, it itself entered. Tat trishtva, having created. Tat means that Brahma or Atma. Trishtva means having created. Tadeva, that itself. Anupravishyat means pervaded the creation. See, this aspect of that creation is now mind-boggling, and therefore I don't know who I am. Whom I thought I am now till now, I cannot think, because if I have created the objects of the world, having created from deep sleep, if I am waking up, I have to create the space where I have to be present. My presence has to be supported, the substratum in which I have to present myself or be there has to be there before I come into existence. So the I-ness or the individuality needs the akasha or the space in which my individuality can be placed. And then in that individuality, I am entering as myself. Therefore, I start saying I am. It is the same way Brahma, having created the space, created everything, including me in the space, and that Brahma has entered in me and in all the objects of the creation. Now, when it is said that it is entering, having this thing, then the question will come, is it that I am like a bird has created a nest and I am entering a nest, or a burrow has been made and the ant is entering the hole? Or is it anything similar to that? So, the Shastra says no. Ghadakashavat. The space is now entered inside the pot space, inside the pot to become the spot space. Actually, the pot has come inside the space, occupying the space, and it also encloses a space. So the space has not been created inside the pot. But when the pot came up inside the space is now enclosed inside the pot. Same way, the dependency of now the space is not of the pot, on the contrary, the pot is now dependent upon the space for its own existence as well as for the space inside it. Imagine the bird created the nest. The dependency of the bird is now inside the nest. On the contrary, if I say that it is the bird's nest, the moment I say it's a bird's nest, the nest becomes that of the bird and the bird becomes the owner or the holder of the nest, even though it is residing inside the nest. So here we have to bring a simile which is both pot or the bird in such a way that we are creating the space, and having entered the space, we become the enclosed inside the space, becoming now the space is surrounding me. But actually I have created the space and I have entered the space. Now how do I understand this? Imagine our dream experience. We create the dream world, the space of the dream, and then we are entering the dream as a dreamer inside the space created by me of the world of dream, and therefore the world is now supported by the space which is created by me. That space is also having the Swarupa Atma. That Atma can never be different from the dreamer who is having the Atma. That Atma of the dreamer and the Atma of the dream space is one and the same. But the dreamer will not be able to identify himself as the dream space, nor the waker can identify the waking space as the waker's space, because we are not able to identify or know our own Atma. We can know everything else in the world, but not ourselves. The Upanishad is getting into the detail. I don't want to jump the gun and give that right now itself. So we have to understand, how does this phenomena happen? If we think as a creation by somebody else like Brahma, which is an object outside me, then that creation cannot enter me. That creator cannot enter me because I am separate from him. How can he create and enter in me or enter all the objects which is being created in the space? To know that, we have to understand the dream experience or extrapolate the dream experience to our own waking experience to understand how from the deep sleep, when I create the space of the waking and enter the waking world as a waker, and now I am separating myself out of the space which I have created myself. I created myself. I created the space first. I entered the space as an individual, and having separated out from the space, now I have unified me into a unitary thing, and everything else inside the space as separate from me. This separation, the andaram, or this differentiation between myself and the world of objects inside my experience of the world space, is what is being negated by the Upanishad statement, tat srishtva tadeva anupravishyat iti cha tasya eva jivarupena sharira pravesham darshayati. Tasya eva, the atmanaha eva. This self, which is my true self, not what I think I am, not what is my adjectives are, not what I know myself as, no. My Swarupa, Jiva Rupena Sarira Pravesham Darshayati. as the individual Jiva. Now, the whole definition of what the Upanishad is going to explain will have to be taught from our individualistic experience, not as a theory being taught like physics, maths and chemistry, where we learn anything and everything about the 100 million things about the world outside, but never about ourselves. But here is one philosophy or one teaching where it is going and asking us to look from our own experience of creation, our own experience of becoming what we are. Not knowing what we are till now is to be negated and substituted with that knowledge which will now become knowing to us, what the Upanishad is going to explain to us step by step. That is what is the method in which we have to now tag our line and replace with what all we have assumed and learned about it, including about Atma, Brahma, and every detail of it till now we have. Ataha vetituhu swarupam Brahma. Therefore, when the Upanishad made a substitution Brahma with Atma, it is not without a purpose. It is the only purpose is to substitute that Brahma and Atma are identical. There is no differentiation. This is what the Dvaitis, Visishtadvaitis or all others are unable to understand. Why is this Upanishad making this shift from till now what has been told with us Brahma with Apnoti Param, it can be with also substitute with Atma with Apnoti Param. It is the same thing. So therefore, we should now change our approach to the understanding the Upanishad with the Brahma word to be substituted with our own Swarupa. Each one of us, what we have not understood our Swarupa is what is going to, Upanishad is going to teach us. And that is what is going to be our focus and anchor with which we should be able to tag the line of the Upanishad to know Brahman and Atman. Otherwise, this Upanishad becomes like any other physics, maths and chemistry. Why should this Upanishad take all the effort to give a Brahman, which is a third party object or an object in the world, which can be, which is that one subject which none of the sciences, philosophies or chemistry or the mental psychology or anything which has not been taught us is about our own nature. What is our nature? None of the books in the world outside has ever divulged or tried to express it. Only Upanishad is the one which is taking the effort and the courage to tell what is our Swarupa. And for that, it is taking a calculated risk as well as effort so that one who has understood the method of the Upanishad and the meaning with which the Upanishad want us to tag the line and to follow the teaching, only to such a person the Upanishad becomes fruitful. Otherwise, it will be like any other 100 million books which you have studied. Anandaveda bahuvetittavyam. Alpaschakala bhavascha vitnya. Yat sarabhudam tat upasitavyam. Idahamso Shrirambu Mishram. Or Yaduktam Gandhakodibihi. That the 100 millions of books which are available in Indian Shastras or the methodology of Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita, Dvaita, all of them put together. If you don't understand the Upanishad the way in which Upanishads you want you to understand, when it is substituting the Brahma word with the Atma word, you are not understanding the purpose of the Upanishad, but you are going to learn like any other Shastra. You will become a Shastravid, but not Brahmavid. By becoming Shastravid, you will be able to talk about all the Vedas and Puranas and the Upanishads and etc. But that would not have made any effort, any change in the individual, nor will he be able to talk about it, which can make change in others. Because when he is not understood, how can he make others understand that? Therefore, you have to understand what the Upanishad is wanting us to learn. And if you learn this the way in which the Upanishad is teaching us, then only the Upanishad become fruitful. Otherwise, it is, the Upanishad itself says that, Natyanena pravachanena ananda shatena, all those things, pravachana, all those things become futile because jnana can be attained only by the means of knowing it as Upanishad is teaching us. So when Brahma word has been replaced by Atma, it is not an error on the side of the Rishi. The Upanishad wants us to understand it from our own nature, our own Swatma. This is what is called Swamshigaranam, which I keep on telling that. Think it is talking about us, not what we know us about as son of so-and-so, father of so-and-so, or degrees which we have acquired in our life, nor we think about as our age or sex or location or the country or anything of that. That's all adjectives given to the body. We are not the body. We are knower of the body. So therefore, we should know that our Atma or our Swarupam is what Brahma is being mentioned by the Shastra or the Upanishad, Taitareeya Upanishad here. So the opponent, the opposition or the Purva Pakshi cannot wait. He is not ready to accept this statement. Evan Tarhi, now he says that if that is the case, Atmatva Jnana Kartrutvam. I know Atma as a Jnana. Jnata. I know this, I know that, I know myself, I know my experiences. Everything is known to me. So when the Satyam Jnanam word is used, Jnanam is also a word with a verb of knowing attached to it. Therefore, Atma Jnata iti hi prasiddham. So the Atma which I know, where the word Jnanam can be applied, that I am the knower of 100 million things in the world. I know everything which is, I am knowing my experiences, I am knowing my happiness, I am knowing my sorrow. All those things are internal, yet I am the knower. Therefore, the Atma Jnata. Jnata means, it is also the word Jna is the verbal root. Jnata means one who knows or one who is knowing. That is the prasiddham. Even the Upanishad uses the word sa akamayata. He desired. That means he is knowingly, he knows, therefore he desires. Sa kamayata. Same way, sa aikshata. We studied this in the other Upanishad. He willed, let me become many. Bahusyam prajayeti. Let me become many. So these are all showing that knowledge and the desire after knowledge is being what the Upanishads are also talking about. Iticha kaminoho jnana kartrutva prasiddhi. Every word jnanam, the word jnanam has got a kartrutvam. Means there is a knower or a subject who has the potency to use the word jnanam. Therefore, jnana kartrutva prasiddhi is what is known in the world as maximum, and we do not know anything other than that jnanam. The moment we use the word jnanam, we know only kartrutva prasiddhi, means as a knower. I know my deep sleep, I know my waking, I know my dream, and everything inside the waking, dream and deep sleep even as a witness I am knower. So that it is that ataha jnana kartrutvat napti iti brahma iti ayuktam. So when you said that jnana is nepti, avabodha, jnana sadhanam, this is the word definition what Shankaracharya gave in the beginning. So therefore, jnana kartrutvat, because it is a jnana kartrutva, that is the knowership, is there hidden in the word jnana. Jnapti iti brahma, the pure knowing or the awareness. In Hindi, in the word in Hindi or in the vernacular language, the word bodham means knowing, awareness, consciousness. All those things will become unfitting for the word Brahma, because Kartrutvam is the Brahma also will become an individual like me and you who is knowing his own activities. But he cannot be Nepti. Nepti means pure knowledge. Anityutta prasangacha. Anityatvam, that Satyam, Anartham. It will become Nityam and Anityam. Because every knower, the knower knowing anything is within the time span. Then that is replaced by one object to another object, which I told you earlier. Therefore, Anitya Prasanga means the eternity or the Anandatvam, Andavatvam, Prasishedam, the negation of ending cannot be done in the case of Brahma, because every knowledge of the object, as the object changes, the knowledge also changes. Therefore, it is not Nityam. And it is not a knowledge, pure knowledge, because I know knowledge only always as a subject who is knowing something. Yadi nama jnapni jnanam iti bhavarupada brahmana tadapi anityam prasijjeta. Now, if you say that bhavarupa, jnana bhava, jnana sadhanam, that is what you mentioned is of Nepti Jnana, Nepnihi Jnanam iti Bhavarupada. It is the Bhavarupada means Jnana Bhava, Bhava Sadhanam. We heard this in the earlier classes. If we take it that as Brahmanaha, of Brahman, Tadapi, even that becomes Anityam. Why? Not only Anityam, Paratandrim Cha. Then why Paratandrim? Tatvartanam karakapeshatvad. Now here comes a different subject altogether. He is taking the question in such a way that ordinary people will never be able to understand. The reason because is that now he is bringing the technicality into it. By bringing the Dhatvartha karakapeshatvad. For example, the word kr, do, is the verbal root of do, is kr. Karoti means doing. Kritaha means one who has done. Kritva, having done. Akrita means what that cannot be produced. Like that word kr can be used in million ways. Actually speaking, in the calculation done by Hyderabad University, one dhatu kr can produce 2,064,000 words, which has got independent meaning. And Sanskrit has got 2,270 verbs altogether, the verbal roots, from which each word can produce 2,064,000 odd forms of the activity. And all of them are called Karakapeksha. Mean, for example, Karta means subject. Karma means it is object. Karanam means it is an instrument for action. Like that, you can bring in any number of number of things with the word one. So the word Jna, Dhatu, which is from which that Jnanam, Nyapti, Avabodha, all those things which are coming is from the word Jna. So Karakapesha, when it comes, it is dependency on other things. Like Karta is depending upon the subject who is doing it. Here the Jnata becomes the one who knows about it. Jnanam becomes an object which is known. Jnanam can never be an objectless knowledge. Therefore, it is become a second case. Jnanam is an object. Jnanena becomes an instrument. By knowledge, you achieve something, or by do jnanena, atjnanam nashyati. That ignorance is destroyed by jnanam. Like that, jnanam cha dhatu artha. If you take that dhatu has an artha, means every dhatu, means every verbal root has got a meaning. Therefore, if it keeps on changing, therefore the Brahma word also will become anityam if you are using word nyapti, and paratantram because karagam depends upon the case under which it is coming. This is what the opposition has now made an objection. Now this objection is dealt thoroughly by Shankaracharya, but it is a highly technical aspect which I will do my best to make understanding. Those who have really listened without any interest in learning have fallen asleep, or they may have listened it with like listening to a podcast or a news reading or anything which is in a passing remark which is being heard. But if you are listening that this is needed for understanding your own nature of your own Swarupa, then only that explanation will become meaningful, which I'll be taking in the coming Wednesday's class onwards. So, listen to today's lecture, be prepared with all the preparations which I have given you in today's class, and when we start, how Shankaracharya is going to take on this objection by the opponent, once we understand that, we will know how to know ourselves, yes, as Nepti or Avabodha, or how we are to be understood as that Swarupa, Bodha Swarupa, nature of knowledge. Of our nature is that of knowledge without a subject and object or any of the instruments related to it. I will deal it in the next Wednesday's class. So let me stop here. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavada.
Thank you so very, very much, Bindaji, and everyone who's been here to participate together. This is really excellent, the direction we're going, and so appreciate it. We'll move into the question and answer now, and in a moment I'll open the chat and the hand raising, and anyone's welcome to come up and discuss what was brought forward in the class today or the earlier Taitareeya classes, and we will have the Sunday Q&A for more general Advaita. We are having that this week. And also just to remind people who are following just where we're going with this Upanishad, we have the document above with the mantras that Bindaji created in Sanskrit transliteration and English, and then we have a translation of Shankara's Bhashya on this in the top of the chat, and chapter 2 starts on page 301. So anyone who would like to come up, just one moment. I did have one thing that I wanted to say, and that is a couple months ago, Bindaji. Well, I put hand raising open if anyone wants to raise their hand, and in a moment I'll open the chat. In passing, in answering questions a couple months ago, a couple times you used the phrase "the process of creation." You have to know the process of creation. And I thought of that when you were talking today, because I remember I asked you something about that at the time. And the other thought that came to my mind, if you care to comment on any of this, is I've noticed over time, you use the word Brahman predominantly, but there are plenty of times when you use the word Atman when you're, and it's clearly very intentional, and I think it has to do with different times when you're wanting to, it's appropriate to impress, exactly what you were talking about today. So I really appreciated your clarity. Would you like to comment on any of that, and then Prakash and anyone else? But I really appreciated it.
See, the process of creation is very important in Advaita. The reason why it is important is that when we look outwardly as a process of creation like Big Bang and etc., what is the benefit for me? Am I getting benefited by knowing Big Bang? Am I knowing benefited by any of the things which is happening in the world? Whether I am there or not, it will happen. But what is the necessity for me to know the creation? Why is scientists trying to find out the origin of species or origin of life, origin of the world, origin of the universe? Why are they doing it? All these things are being done thinking that there will be a trace available in the creation whereby they can trace it back to the origin of creation. But our rishis have found that if I am also part of the creation, why should I look outward for an answer? There millions of things are there. Where will I draw a conclusion? So they went the other way around what the science is doing today. Not because they don't want the science to process or anything. They are accepting science. It has got its own place. It is a place where it is doing very well. But they are not in opposition with that. But their purpose of finding the source of creation, which includes me, I should have the answer within me or in me, which I should be able to trace it back to the origin. So that can be done only when you are looking as yourself as Atma, as the part of the creation, and that cause of the creation or the process of creation should have left the traces in me also, that I can trace it through me to the origin of the creation. That way, when we bring the two together, the origin of creation and myself together into one platform, then only it will become meaningful. Otherwise, it will be like doing a scientific research. This is the reason why the Upanishad is addressing this. And when I make the shift between Brahman and Atman, is with this mind. When I'm talking about Brahman, it is talking from the point of view where you have to look it as a, what you call, externalized thinking. But the moment I say that Brahman and I substitute, or when the Upanishad substitutes, or where I am using that in my explanation, Atman, immediately the shift should take place from the externalized looking to an inward journey. That is where the importance lies. Unless you take the inward journey, any amount of searching in the world outside, millions of years have passed, millions of life have been spent in this world, they have not been able to find out the source. The only way you can find out is within yourself, because you are also very much part and parcel of that creation. So instead of searching for atoms and the quarks or the dark matter or the dark energy and everything is there inside you also equally available. So when you are searching outside, if you are doing the searching inside, the problem is that our externalized mind can never do an internalized searching. For that, we will have to transform the mind or transform our way of looking into the world in such a way that the journey has a different meaning, direction, and target. Then only it will become fruitful. This is what I have been telling in whichever class I have mentioned. Any question that had come, I have answered this in the same direction in which with which you should look at it. And then only we will be able to take a proper direction and the right direction.
Thank you so much, Binduji. We'll go in the order that people came up. Prakash, though, first, did you have any comments on today's class?
Yes, first of all, a profound thank you to Binduji for guiding us through that nuanced aspect of how agency is a predominant intruder into the inquiry of self. So it is very, very profound. So I first want to thank you, Binduji. The question I have is, when you say Atmani Brahman, but you also went into the depth of the dhatus. So in terms of its, because we know that there is no name and form associated with these, and it's deconstructed. But in terms of its import of language, how is Atman and Brahman differentiated? Or in terms of the communication? That's the question I had, Binduji.
See, in terms of the verbal meanings of Atman and Brahman, Brahman is Brihatvad Brahma, which is the most encompassing thing where nothing is excluding out of that. Now the word Atma comes from a verbal root which gives the meaning that it spreads everywhere. Now both apparently has got verbal roots which are different. One is which tries to include everything. The here is one word which is expansive, showing the expansion. So apparently they may be having a different verbal meaning, but the intended meaning, if you look at it, one which can expand everywhere, is the one which is also holding everything inside it. There is no difference between the two in the intended meaning point of view. But the word Atma has got another meaning which is transactionally used as myself. When we say that I, the word I is indicating about myself. But my knowledge about myself is not about my self, but myself as name and form and adjectives. Not about myself, the self of mine. That is not ever a question to any one of us until we are asked by the Upanishad to find out, or the masters ask you to find out. Till then, the self of mine is never an object which I am interested in. I am interested as myself, as father, mother, or children, or doctor, engineer, or scientist, whatever may be the definitions and our professions, and all the desires and aggrandizing and consumption and everything put together. I am a consumer of all the knowledge which I am acquiring, but never the one behind all this is never a, even in the wildest of the dreams, we ever ask ourselves that question until you are exposed to Advaita and Upanishads or masters who are talking about it. So both Brahman and Atman are identical in their intended meaning. Their transactional word meanings are different. One shows which the Brahman word is where nothing is outside it. And Atman is the one which occupies everything. Because everything has got Atma in it. Even an atom has Atma in it. A paper has an Atma. And an ant has an Atma. A rock has an Atma. A grain of sand has got its own Atma. So Atma is there in everything. Therefore, tat trishtua tateva anupravishad, when the Upanishad says that having created anything, it occupies that. It created itself, anything inside it, and then it occupied. Now, this is something which we have never seen in our transactional world. Something creating something and occupying itself. In totality, not part of the creation. A bird creating a nest or a man building a house will occupy a part of the creation, but not full. Even and even the wildest dream, we cannot think about any creation by human beings in which the human beings is occupying the entire created. No. So the example which is used is the pot and the space. The space gave the permission for the pot to be an object present in the space. Using the space, after having created the pot inside the space inside the pot is also occupied by the space, not only the inside space, outside space, and in between the body of the space, pot also is in the space. Therefore, where will you put the space? Similar is the way Atma Akasha Sambhuda. When Atma creates the Akasha in the dream space is created. In that the dreamer is placed. The dreamer is part of the dream. And inside the dream, the dreamer has got now an Atma of its own. So the dreamer now thinks that he is the dreamer. He forgot about that he is the one who created the dream space. Same is the case with the waking also. So to understand this is what the Upanishads, principle of the Upanishad is, to make us think from our own experiential knowledge about our own life, our own being, our own existence.
Thank you. Thank you, Binduji. That was very clear. Yeah. I'll pass it on to Vivekji.
Thank you, Prakash. Vivek, welcome.
Thank you, Artemisia. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, Vivek.
Bindoji, namaste.
Namaste.
Happy New Year to all. Prakash,
Thank you.
Happy New
Same
Year.
to you.
Yeah, to all those who present here, Happy New Year. Bindoji, after hearing to your talks actually today, there is one thing which came to my mind, or it was there from the beginning when I started learning all these things. A kind of a talk which you had given today is making me think in such a way that the end of this is you are trying to grasp something which is not in your hand. And next is, you as a jiva, you are trying to embrace this as a reality. Now there is a small gap between reality and confusion, or maybe unreality, we can say. Now when you really talk about this, are we talking about the end of experience today? If that is the case, then I don't know. Then how can we put this forward? Is one of my question. Second question is, we have been dealing with this Upanishads and Kevala Advaita, but Shankaracharya's Advaita, and there we are saying, like, that everything is pivotal on me, and that me or I, that I have to see, or that I have to find out. Now, if that we are trying to find it out, again, when we are coming through Upanishads towards the Kevala Advaita, what we are seeing is, like, end of an experience. Now you have said, like, it is very critical that when we are talking about Advaita or Upanishads, creation is discussed uh, in breadth. So my question is, if this has been the thing that I have been discussing, like, uh, how will you correlate with the creation, and if what I have said as non-creation, or a non-experience level of thing, how can we correlate this? I had a slight confusion on today's lecture. That's why.
No problem, This is exactly what the Upanishads want us to. It is now at a juncture where it is destabilizing all our previous imagination, knowledge, and understanding about what we thought we knew about Upanishads, and the process, or I'm saying it is an experience which is an end of all experiences. Let me put it that way. Yat jnatva sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. That word of Mundaka Upanishads comes right as an experience. Yat jnatva, that knowledge which will put an end to it, all the objective knowledges. Here is in the next 2-3 classes we will be discussing Vijnadur Vijnade Viparilopo na Vidyade Avinashitvat. The knower can never know the knower itself, because what knowledges we have has got vinasha. When I told you, when you know flower, we don't know the cow. When you know the cow, we do not know the flower. But here we are going to get to a knowledge which doesn't change even when we are experiencing many things. That experiencing of many things will be in a different light of experience or knowledge. That is why the Mundaka Upanishad says, Yat jnatva sarvamidam vijnadam bhavati. That time we are not knowing the object. The experience of knowing an object today is, I am the subject, I am having an activity of knowing, and there is an object to it. But once we know the subject as what it is, this Upanishad is teaching is, then my knowing of an object is not as I am subject and that as an object, but that as same as myself. I don't see the object as separate from me, but I'll see it as having a name and form, but the swarupa or the very nature of that object is the same nature which I am also made of. Now I am also having name and form and therefore related adjectives. I am seeing you as Vivek with a name and form and adjectives to yourself. So you are an object and I am the subject. But the moment I look to you from the knowledge of my own nature, I see you as myself with a different name and form, but yourself and myself have no difference. The substance, the substratum on which you appear and the substratum on which I appear is the same. That is why the Chandogya Upanishad mantra says, no, yatra na anyat pasyati. We are not seeing anything other than ourselves. Yatra anyat shrunoti, anyat vijanadi. We are not hearing or knowing anything other than ourselves. That sarvatma bhava means what it is meaning is that sarvatsya atma, atma of everything includes my atma also. So that this differentiation between what we are having, I am separate and everything else is separate from me, will be the end of experiences. You are right. It is an end of all experiences. But that is an experience by itself where it supersedes all experiences with a different set of experiencing where you don't find the differentiation. That ekatvam anupashyata. That word Upanishad says, no, ekatvam anupashyata. I mean, that ekatvam, the oneness or the sarvatma bhava is what we are all going to achieve when you are doing this knowledge of knowing oneself. In both ways, if you look at it from the mundane purpose also, or from the point of absolute purpose, absolute nature, both are not separate. They merge in such a state that there is only one thing. Neha nanasti kinchana.
Okay, thank you, Binduji. Nice way of expressing it. Yeah, thank you.
Binduji, I went ahead and closed hand raising because normally we end about now, but we have two people. Shall we go ahead and take the time that they need, or do you prefer to push that to Sunday?
No, we'll take Venkat and Ganesh today.
Yeah.
We can push it to Sunday, but there's no hurry.
Unless it's a... No, okay, then Venkat, you can come on Sunday. What about Ganesh?
Yeah.
Yes, Binduji. I just wanted to tell you that I must listen to this once again or twice, because tasmat etasmat has to be digested to a large extent. And only one small question is that even in Jnana Kartrutva, I am present. Therefore, since Jnapni is Bhava Rupa, it has to be experienced only through the Swamshikarana, by making the Anushtana of Swamshikarana. Am I right?
Yeah, you are right. That inward looking, the Swamshikaranam or Avrita Chakshu, what has been told in the Kathopanishad, both are indicating the same thing, that Atmanaha, when it is being told, you should not be thinking about a Brahman in the sky or up above in the heavens who is doing the creation. No.
Yeah.
That aspect has to be set aside, that it is because tat trishtva tadeva anupravishit. Having created, I am now nothing but Brahman only. Because if I have been created and it has anupravesha in me, then I should be experiencing what Brahma is experiencing. But I am not getting that now because I am thinking myself separate from the rest of the thing, which I was telling to Vivek. That separation, that idaramantaram gurde adatasya bhayam bhavati, in this Upanishad it will come. So all those things, we have to take it as that this Upanishad is asking us to not look outward for answers, but to look inwards. That is what is called samshikarana.
So everything takes a perfect leap after tasmat etasmat atmana iti brahmana, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
But the next class will be more technical from the point of view of Shankaracharya's explanation. But those who are, understanding and enjoying it are the people who will be able to turn inward and look for the answer within themselves. Otherwise, it will be like listening to a radio broadcast or a news or watching a television or a podcast.
Yeah,
it will not make any good to anyone.
No, that's what I could feel in today's class. Slowly you are pushing us into ourselves, or these explanations, one after the shloka. Slowly it is pointing and concentrating about our own self.
Yes.
Thank you, Binduji. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you, Vivek.
So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And to let people know, hoping very much looking forward to seeing you on Sunday, Venkat. That was kind of you to take the question and push it to Sunday. So as usual, 8:30 p.m. IST on Sundays, which is 10 a.m. Eastern, we'll have a more general Advaita Q&A, but people who have questions on this Upanishad or other classes we've had, you're welcome to bring those. So we hope to see you for that. If you're new to these rooms, please join this house because we have rooms Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday at 8:30 p.m. IST. Weekdays, it's classes. And what else? Remember that there is a English translation of this Upanishad and several others in the top of the chat. If people want to look ahead to get an idea of what Binduji will be covering next time, although I have to say that for me, Binduji, your teachings are worlds apart and so crystal clear and beautiful compared to anything I've ever found before. So with all of that said, then, thank you so much, Binduji, and everyone for being here. Prakash, if you have any closing comments, and then Binduji can close the room.
Yes, just to keep the thread alive, for how we've been doing this sadhana, from a sadhak's perspective, is this, we're shifting a lot more into, as I understand, more into manana, to hold this wisdom as we go forward into the depth, as Binduji always reminds us. So I just want to thank Binduji with a lot of gratitude for having guided us into this very profound state of manana. And hopefully we will follow with him, keep up with him, the strength of attention that one needs to go into this. With profound gratitude. Thank you, Binduji, and thank you everyone for coming. And see you next class.
Thank you, Atmishya. Thank you, Prakash. Yes, Vivek.
Binduji, I just wanted to know this. This Taitareeya Upanishad, I think you touched upon Brahmananda Valli today, correct? So how are you taking it? So how are you taking it, randomly, or you are taking it as each anuvakam? So what exactly it is?
I completed the Shiksha Valli completely, and there I didn't do the Shankara Bhashya. But in the Brahmananda Valli, I wanted specifically the Shankara Bhashya to be dealt in detail for the nuances and taking the thought process as Shankaracharya wanted us to understand that. Otherwise, English translation would have been good enough for this thing, but I just don't want to do that. So I thought Brahmananda Valli onwards, I'll follow the Shankara Bhashya wherever it is important for the aspect. Only those places I'll take the Shankara Bhashya support. Other places, depending upon the Shankara Bhashya only, but I'll concise that and will not read word by word meaning and explain it.
No problem. So it will be like a random thing that you will be doing, correct?
No, I'll be completing the whole Upanishad, but Shankara Bhashya in detail will be at random.
Oh, okay, fine. Fine, no issues. I just wanted to know. So, thank you.
Right.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Binduji.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, Vivek. Thank you, Venkat, for postponing it to Sunday. Thank you, Ganesh. And thank you all of you for who have listened. I sincerely request you to go through this replay once again before you come to next Wednesday's class, because the thread will be clear and you will be able to follow the class only if you are, listened it to at least once. Thank you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Good night.
Hari Om.